Now, according to reports, thousands of prisoners have escaped amid the ongoing protests. Joining us now from Maputo is Mozambican journalist Clemente Carlos. Good afternoon, Clemente. Thank you very much for joining us as always. Firstly, can you confirm the story now? Because there are a number of figures bandied about. Some are saying 6,000 have escaped. How many have escaped?
Hi, good afternoon. I also greet your viewers. It's always a pleasure to be on the show. Well, in fact, yes, there have been, prisoners have escaped from both Central and BO prison, which are basically neighboring prisons. It's two correctional institutions, both in the Mashava neighborhood in the same area, basically. And in terms of the figure, we are still to confirm. But as far as I've seen, it's about 150 people or prisoners who have actually escaped. I mean, there is one young man who just escaped, and there's a video of him going viral here in Maputo, still with the cuffs in his hands, and he was giving, he was recording a video telling the population, or telling the neighbors of the people who are living in the surrounding areas of the prison that they are also part of the revolution, that his friends escaped from the central prison and then set him free with some other young man, just so they could actually be part of the revolution. So basically, this is how things are getting out of hand. I do believe they have made use of the Christmas celebration, although we're not celebrating as such in Maputo, but I do believe they made use of this day because probably the number of officials in the prison was not the same as that would have been on a normal day.
Has government
issued... might have just taken advantage of that to actually escape.
Has government issued an official statement to this effect, stating that or confirming that indeed there are a number of prisoners that have escaped?
You know, our government here, sometimes they are afraid to admit whenever they, take wrong decisions or whenever such situations that have to do with security issues. Sometimes they're reluctant to accepting it and letting it out to the public because somehow they don't want to show their weakness. I mean, allow me to give you an example of when the Muslim Caliphate, which is supporting the terrorism in the northern Mozambique, when it first came out, the government was reluctant also to accept that there was some, small groups of terrorism in Mozambique. I mean, they took about 3 to 4 years to actually finally admit that was happening in Mozambique. So the same thing happened whenever, stuff like this happen. They would never just come out and admit that prisoners have escaped because they think by doing that, they don't want to alarm the people. But I tell you what, I mean, we're living in a developed world. I mean, technology is here at our disposal. And the minute they escaped, we started seeing videos going viral on social media. They haven't yet issued any sort of statement to actually confirm that. But from the videos we've seen, I mean, young men still with the handcuffs, speaking to people outside and saying, do not be afraid, we're not going to harm you, we are just escaping because we want to be part of the revolution. So that in itself confirms that indeed there are prisoners who have escaped, and apparently by the number of 150 approximately.
Now, Clemente, on the face of it, it looks as though there could have been collusion. Is that in fact the case? At least collusion with prison officials for them to escape?
Yeah. I mean, one of them actually stated that his inmate took the gun of one of the prison warders and went to the other side. As I did explain, there are two prisons next to one another, which is Central Prison as well as BO. BO is referred to as the maximum security prison in Maputo. So he took the firearm of one of the warders and went to the other side, to the other prison next to it, to actually set free his inmates. So basically, this is what we are hearing. This is what has transpired so far. And somehow it's a little bit scary. I mean, people are afraid because they were hiding inside people's homes to actually finally go away whenever they felt safe, because obviously there was a shootout. The army, some of the army personnel were there as well to actually bring about the calm to the area.
This prisoner whose image has gone viral, do we know, or at least do you know, what he was incarcerated for?
Well, he said he was in the disciplinary ward. He hasn't yet given like a formal statement because, I mean, he was running away and then people started filming him and then he stopped to actually ask those people to relax and say, we're not here to harm you, we are just out here to be part of the revolution. He hasn't given the exact reasons as to why he was in prison, but he was like, I was in the disciplinary ward and I managed to escape. Now, what I can tell you is that these must be somehow, violent criminals. They must have been to prison for really serious crimes, because both Central and BO, which as I said before, are Maputo maximum prison. So if they're there, then obviously they were not there for just minor things. It might happen that the Central prison, the Central prison inmates might have been there for maybe ordinary crimes they've committed, but the one called BO, that's the maximum security. I mean, the one next to it is really dangerous, so I can assure you that maybe some of them are there for murder, or armed robbery and this type of serious crimes, not forgetting the issue of kidnapping, which is going viral in Mozambique, unfortunately.
So clearly here, it's them just being opportunistic here and using the chaos. But beyond that, the broader protest, what is the situation on the ground today?
Well, unfortunately today we were confronted with the figures of another 25 people dead. Adding to the 130. So basically now we're sitting at 159 people who have died so far. That's how the death toll looks like by now. And unfortunately, it's getting out of hand. As you know, apart from a journalist, I'm also a social activist, and I'm one of the people who have been calling for calm from the beginning. And I did sort of try to warn people that this protest shouldn't go violent. People should always resort to peaceful demonstrations instead of burning cars or throwing stones at people's cars and stuff like that. But unfortunately, right now, young people don't want to listen to any sort of advices of this matter. They just want to loot and take advantage of whatever projects.
And it seems they don't want to heed the call. Pardon me for interjecting there, but it seems they also don't want to heed the call of their leader, Venancio Mandlane, who had called for these protests, because it seems he's also issued a statement calling for calm and saying, let there be no violence, there must be demonstrations, but most certainly no destruction of property. Yeah,
actually, to be honest with you, Venancio Mandlane himself has come out and said it, that people shouldn't go violent. They should just, resort to peaceful demonstrations. But right now, as I was trying to explain, there are some young people who were born post-independence as well as post the first general elections in 1994. And those are the people that, they just don't want to listen to anyone. They're sort of tired of these bad governance of the day, and it's 50 years of Frelimo rule, and they don't see any sort of food on the plate. They don't see desks at schools. Most of them are sitting on the floor at school. Some of them have dropped school because education system is also collapsing, and they have no access to good health and stuff like that. So we do understand their frustration. This is not to say that we somehow ignoring their cry. No, we do understand where they're coming from. Just that, I guess there should be some sort of a limit as to how one should or how far one should protest. But unfortunately, they just don't want to listen to any sort of advice on those grounds.
No, very worrying situation there. Clemente, thank you very much for that update. That's Clemente Carlos, Mozambican journalist and social activist there, just giving us the very latest. The death toll now, insofar as the protests are related or concerned, stands at 159 people who have lost their lives.